The first regional, the North American Open, went all 3 series. Will we get a repeat of that? Will NRG make the comeback here in this best of 7? They've got their work cut out for them, Turtle, because G2 are aggressive on the pitch. Demos, bumps, whatever way they can take you out, they're going to do it. We're underway.
And they've got that strategy of sending one player forward, being the lead blocker, taking out a player, or at least making him jump or get out of position. Meanwhile, the second man back is just dribbling that ball, riding it home, and just securing the shot. So we'll see if we get that same strategy here as G2 put an early shot in. Drees, he's on fire time and time again.
That was a great setup from Chicago, too. Justin tried to get that clear out, but it was a perfect bounce for Drees, and he still had to hit that with purpose. Garrett got a touch on it, and it's the power that makes it sink.
Well, and the crazy thing about the G2 striking in the previous series and now continuing the trend in game 1 with Drees. Wait, hold on a second. This is the same strategy.
Goodness.
This is what I'm talking about. G2, they get one player behind the ball, they hit the brakes, and they say, okay, you take out the goalkeeper, I'll just steadily dribble this ball in.
I can't believe Justin has to be so upset right now. You're expecting that quick hit from Drees. Yep. Like you said, he hits the brakes, and G2 really want to play this game right now. It's working.
And with how routine this is, the only answer for NRG is to try and challenge that shot early. You have to either dodge the demo and then get the pre-jump save, or be early enough with the read on the play to challenge the dribble. G2, they're on another level, Jorby. 3 goals.
NRG reeling on the cams a little bit after that goal. 3 of them in the first minute. It doesn't stop for G2. 5 shots already in the opening minute. Well, that's tough for NRG. That's a tough break.
That is incredible from G2, and especially in series number 2, where you would expect things to start shifting, towards the NRG side, just because of the stamina, the endurance. They've been here more, yada, yada, yada. I'm sure everybody's heard enough of it, okay? That's what's expected. But then you come out here in game number 2, or series number 2, and game 1, and you storm the pitch on offense with these incredible shots. That's a statement.
Oh, that one's just squishy, and finally NRG cracked through G2.
This one looked like a pinch, actually. I'm not sure how he got so much power. Chicago was going for a slower touch there from Drees, who panicked a bit, trying to get that ball out. And yes, it did squeeze off, I believe, the hood of JNABS, giving Squishy that extra power to send it in.
It couldn't have been a worse first minute for NRG, but you start the next minute as well as you possibly could with a goal. But here comes JNABS. Light shot turned away by Garrett. Chicago's just waiting there. Drees almost got a hattie, and it's taken away.
It's a pinch from Garrett G off the post. Squishy's on the other side. 9 boost, but he's going to be aggressive, take the corner one, and Garrett G's left to try to handle this on his own. Good touches from G2, and that's the only concerning thing, Jorby, is how they handle those clears. A lot of times they'll find their own teammates, but like we just saw, they can tend to give that away right to NRG.
Yeah, I mean, JNABS was reading that pass too. Garrett connected. Maybe he gets the block, but at the same time, that could have been with some power. They all got caught out. And it bounces out off the post. No break for NRG, but Garrett G, he's got a hammer, and he cracks right through the wall.
And this is some rough positioning here from G2, all of them panicking, and you can see they're all in the same spot. It was almost a triple commit. Literally, they synced up, synchronized swimming here for G2 on defense, and NRG are left to punish.
The Torment's picture apparently applicable in all areas of the pitch. G2 definitely, when they scrambled as a unit.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to put that one. But they're so good at moving down the field with purpose with each other.
Oh, they're deadly when they're spaced out, too. If they can just find that rotation that doesn't, step on each other's toes, we might see G2 walk away with the grand finals, Jorby. They're already up in this set.
NRG have 2 unanswered against them. And with a little bit more time, they could find a clear. Instead, it's a miss, and luckily, Garrett was there to clean it up. Garrett, long pass over to nobody. You can't find it off the ceiling. It's just a free counterattack, and Justin picks up the save, but you saw Justin and Squishy just kind of sit there and wait. They weren't sure exactly how G2 were going to approach it, and they got a free counterattack out of it. It should have been a 4th goal almost, but Justin made a great heroic save.
Well, and that's why that 2-on-1 where one player's demoing strategy works so well for G2, is because NRG like to wait to see what type of shot they're going to get on their own net, and G2 know of that. They know the space that can be granted to them if they are patient underneath the ball.
Nice catch from Drees and another flick shot.
Oh!
And off the post. No goal, but Chicago, he found the ball, taken away by Garrett. Next up is Squishy. He lets it go. And he's rewarded with Justin's clear. G2 looking for a way out. The demo apt for G2 to get back to. Chicago wins the 50, but this is actually Garrett's ball. Garrett, little bit of boost. Uses what he can to feather. Hits the ball. Goal! Tied game. Great work from Garrett G.
Some revenge for NRG on the physical side of things. Garrett G took this one himself. Got a solid 50-50. In fact, he actually faked out Drees, then continues forward for the bump, setting up Squishy. All tied up in a game that seemed to be dominant by G2. NRG trail, but still find their way back to a tied game.
Yeah, after, 45 seconds, and then G2 had a 3-goal lead. That's evaporated. They haven't scored since. JNaps pitches that one across. Chicago comes up early, but Justin gets behind him. Squishy able to get that clear out. G2 forced back onto their own half. 2 commit for this one, and both of them miss, but the shot's not going to come. They weren't ready for it. Squishy gonna pop this one up. He's got plenty of boost off the ceiling. Shot just a little high, and Garrett has to wait for G2. He's just rewarded with the ball. NRG are finding space where they shouldn't be, and they've almost scored because of it.
That was a scary play from Squishy Muffins. You can see what he was going for, carrying that ball all the way up to the ceiling, then using the ceiling to jump down on the ball and spike it towards the net. G2, will we see another panicked play where they're all in the same position? There's been more and more space granted to NRG. It's not looking good.
What are these 50s from NRG? They're scooping the ball out from under G2's cars. This time, Chicago. He's
not a good touch, though.
JNaps has Drees downfield, and Garrett picks up the save, pops it up high in front of the box. Squishy sets it down. A perfect touch for Garrett G. End of regulation looming. Garrett off the corner. Oh, he just missed it.
Squishy's
there. He just missed it. Justin has to wait, and he's got to play it across. Time running out for NRG to end it now in game 1. Squishy, good catch. Good delivery in front to Justin. Justin pops it high. Drees takes the ball away from him. Garrett's too slow. Ball on the ground. No, Chicago gets the pinch out. We got overtime.
And I got reminded of the previous series where we saw Garrett G do the same thing Squishy just tried to do. Force a 50-50 across the net. So tactical with their challenges, but you're going to be met with JNaps being aggressive here as we get into overtime.
Another clear for Garrett. Met with a boomer from Drees. They need to be solid in these corners. They can't let one ball slip. Otherwise, that ball's going to be in the back of their net. Chicago late shot taken away by Justin, but still precarious position for NRG. Drees pops it against the corner. Justin's got no boost left. Chicago catches it underneath. Forces the 50 against Squishy. It's not enough, though. They need another chance at it. Garrett pushes that ball out. Shot on target. JNaps on the rotation back. And here comes another one from Justin to Squishy. Denied again. Hanging in front of the box. On target. NRG take game 1.
Justin and Squishy, the back-to-back combo here with the passing. Justin all the way over to Squishy, who wins the 50-50, and Justin is left with a clear shot right at the net. It was a tough angle, and Justin could have quite easily gone for that corner boost. Instead, of course, made the right decision to shoot.
But why are G2 triple committing more than one time in a game?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It was like 3 times in that game that they're double committing for the ball. All 3 of them should not be jumping at it. Like, that was straight up rookie mistake from G2. Like, it was one guy Squishy making that 50. Somebody's got to talk and say, I got it. And somebody's got to have the wherewithal to stay on the ground. That cannot keep happening for G2.
It's coming down to the positioning for G2. If they're not spaced out, sometimes you don't even see your teammates, and if the communication isn't spot on, you are going to double commit, and that's what we're seeing here for G2. There's a situation, all 3 of them in the same spot. Then as we get more into the replays, all 3 of them on the same rotation on the right side of the field, Jorby. G2 don't want to spread out from each other. It's because they like those plays where they're close, they can go for small little touches between each other, and of course, set up that tactical demo play where one player's in front, one's behind. But that comes at a cost, Jorby, and that's where you're all in the same spot.
It's a high-risk play style. It's why we see G2 score so many goals in bunches like we do, but then fall flat other times, and you're left scratching your head being like, you guys a little more, like, you weren't able to get that clear? Why are we triple committing? I truly think that's the only thing for G2. They can play bunched up all they want.
Yeah.
But the communication has to be perfect if you want to play like that. NRG taking game 1. We're on Forbidden Temple.
Here we go.
G2. They got a quick 3 spot, but NRG had 4 unanswered against them now.
That's a ridiculous comeback, too, when you think about it. I mean, 3 goals, and then NRG just somehow find a way to get back into the game. Here they are to start game 2 off on the right foot.
Garrett G putting this one in easily. Squishy got it out, and Chicago went for the corner boost. It was JNAPS and Drees who ended up doubling up in midfield, but JNAPS or Chicago had left for that corner boost expecting a better 50 to come out. It never did and left the net wide open.
And maybe this is an issue with having more people and players on G2 be aggressive. I talked about how typically we'd see Chicago get really aggressive, find some demos. I've seen JNAPS be much more physical this entire series, and I'd say tournament long, but everything comes with a price, and that could just be your positioning.
Right? I mean, it could be like Chicago gets that boost steal. If there's a 50, then he roams back around, and we're talking about how amazing G2's aggression is, right? It's just one missed 50 can be the difference between a potent G2 attack or a floppy G2 defense. Chicago gonna push that one out, but Garrett there to cut it off.
It seems like whenever NRG try to fight fire with fire and Garrett G starts getting physical, Squishy is taking more boost, that's when things start to level out and you'll see G2 panic more. And speaking of aggression, Garrett G was going for a demo play on the last man back. Justin looking to take this one to the midfield, maybe a pass back to Squishy, the dynamic duo in set number 2.
Chicago up for that one quickly. But Garrett, he's locked down midfield on the last several touches. He's going to play enforcer. Justin won't get another chance at the ball. JNAPS does a great job trapping that, and a perfect touch to give it to Chicago.
Garrett G, the follow-up on the side wall. There's space here. This is the classic play. Drees went for the bump, but didn't find it. And NRG have a really easy route to get that one out of their half.
Squishy has the read off the ceiling, and Chicago. He's going to keep it himself off the corner for Garrett, but it was taken away by Drees. And NRG just locking down midfield. Justin, a little bit of boost. JNAPS actually had enough to contend with him. Chicago gets over one. Chicago another one, but Drees was playing a little bit closer to it, so he's not going to have a chance at the net. But still, G2 starting to press in that classic G2 fashion. Chicago off the back wall. Shot. Oh, saves. JNAPS couldn't get another one. Chicago and Drees have to wait. Drees shakes the ball off of one, but Garrett flies up quickly, gets the clear for NRG.
And notice how JNAPS right there in that situation, he's forced to rush back and get a follow-up. Speaking of follow-up, Garrett G almost had the flick from the corner. Oh my goodness, they were so close. And then he hits the brakes and finds a 50-50. And again, look, G2 all 3 in the same spot, Jorby.
I don't know how Garrett is getting in front of the ball as well as he is, but he has kept NRG in this. Squishy, just missing that touch from Justin. Another one for Garrett. It's nothing really working there for NRG. They're forced back to their own wall. And G2 are going to wait for the response. Chicago a little slow on that one. It was a good touch from Squishy.
It does feel like Garrett G has taken a different approach on the challenges. I was actually critiquing him in the previous series where he was losing pretty regularly the 50-50s, and Chicago gets the demo. Okay, here we go. The formation has started for G2. Maybe they'll make something out of it. No, of course, Squishy the read. What a pass forward to intercept everything G2 had to offer.
And Chicago, he's going to let that one down for JNAPS. That G2 offense has been lackluster. Only 2 shots on net so far. Here comes a third. No, Justin right there to cut it off. Drees kicking this one up high and fast. Underneath Justin. Pass over to Chicago. Denied by Garrett. JNAPS last man back. Justin's in the air. JNAPS plays it safely to the corner.
A nice touch there from Justin to Squishy in the midfield, but Squishy didn't bite. Decided to go back and let G2 clear it right to Garrett G, who gets another interception.
Wow.
All 3 players pushed up from G2, and it's thanks to Garrett G on this fantastic read.
Garrett has been roaming around this pitch. He's got his mark on every single player on this pitch, and the rhythm is Garrett right now on Forbidden Temple.
Absolutely. It's such a smart play from Garrett, too, because he obviously knows he's not going to outpace whoever that last man back was, but instead puts himself in between, playing man coverage on the pitch to make sure G2 don't connect anything moving forward.
Here's Garrett again, who just punches it. Squishy cuts this one off. Wow, NRG have just handled these G2 clears with authority. They really haven't been able to sneak past anyone who's in midfield on NRG. That's not the best touch. Garrett sweeps around. Garrett, no chance. Chicago's going to take that one away. But Justin next up. That's a good touch, Garrett. Playing Demo Man.
And
he got one.
it.
Leaves it for Squishy. He's got all day. He says, no, Squishy, this is my goal. He gets his second.
Squishy could have taken a nap with how much time he had to not only watch this unfold, but to even swipe it from Justin. I mean, literally, you take one player out from G2, and the entire field is yours. 2 players bid on the earlier challenge. NRG, 3-0, 27 seconds left. They started off game 1 very poorly, but they have switched things up.
G2 have just been flat. Their offense has not worked. They've even gone for those bumps and demos, but they just haven't had the possession to create any value out of them. Maybe they get something at the end here, but it's a formality on Forbidden Temple. Garrett G just trying to control the ball, and Turtle, G2, a hole now. They've dug themselves down 0-2 in the second series.
Ooh, maybe a follow-up there for JNAPS would have been great going into the next game. They need something, Jorby. Any type of change in their play style. I personally think it would be better to have a much more defensive mindset if you're G2. That previous aggressive play, it's not working. And we've actually just been informed that there is a timeout for G2. We'll see what they have to say.
G2, I think this is the right call. We see the timeout come out a lot of times when you go down 0-2 in a best of 7. It's it really, in my opinion, it's the best call to make. You don't want to take the timeout down 0-3 because that doesn't really give you enough time to adjust after you take that 60-second mental reset.
Yeah, I mean, 60 seconds sometimes is not enough, especially when things are not going your way. There were chances here for G2, 4 shots, 0 goals, a couple of solid attempts. There was that routine demo play, but it didn't yield anything. Meanwhile, NRG, 1 demo and they had all the space in the world. You think back to that play where Garrett G got the demo and Justin literally had so much time just to put it away here, Jorby.
And for NRG, it was so much more offense than we saw from them. Like, they commanded midfield. In Garrett G, it was just Garrett. Every time NRG seemed like they were about to be pushed back into their own half, Garrett was there in midfield, commanding the pace of play. And when Garrett's commanding the pace of play, you just can't get by him. Like, G2 couldn't buy a 50-50, Turtle.
Which is something we couldn't say in the previous series. It was just Garrett G constantly losing challenges, mostly when he was in his own net, though. Maybe it's a bit of a more aggressive approach from Garrett G to control that midfield, and here he is right there, putting 1 shot in from the midfield. Again, getting past 1 defender, almost found that angle there on the dribble. He's going for the demo. Garrett G, all of these replays we've seen, it's Garrett G, like Garrett Jorby. He's leading the way. He is the man who's putting the team in his backpack and just charging forward at the G2 defense.
You know, he's put one of these on and said, deal with it. Garrett roaming around the pitch. I think NRG had something to say about how that first series went. And got out to a much faster start. Game number 3 underway. It's G2 who have to respond to NRG.
I mean, what kind of playstyle shift are they going to go for? What did they talk about in the timeout? Will they be less aggressive, maybe stop relying on those demos and look to pass it into the midfield more? They need to space out, need to dominate this field and not get steamrolled by Garrett G like that with a 50-50.
Justin waiting for it. Chicago gets on top of him.
Oh my goodness.
Goes right back to Garrett. And he knows he's got to beat JNAPS on the ball, but JNAPS is happy to leave it for Drees. G2, this is a good start for them.
Yeah.
They can find command of midfield early. They might be able to score. But Squishy's got a full tank downfield. He's got a free look. Another touch for him. And that's just going to set G2 up for a clear. But Justin wins the touch. G2 just a little bit slower on defense. Doesn't matter, though. They do get the clear downfield.
Well, we're not seeing that same level of speed that we initially saw from G2 in the first series. Chicago felt like he was winning every challenge and followed up beautifully from JNAPS and Drees, who were speedy themselves. But Garrett G, look at the counterattack. Nobody's there, even on the backboard. G2 cannot respond in time against NRG.
They needed Chicago to come in. G2 were sitting on very low boost. They couldn't commit to it. They had to watch Garrett, and Chicago had to be the one to get to that ball. They were already facing that pressure from NRG, despite not staying in the orange half that long.
Nobody's ready to challenge. As soon as NRG are on the attack on offense or transition even, it seems like nobody wants to go for a challenge. Nobody's in position here, Jorby.
Drees next up, but Squishy just gets a clean touch off of him. Justin, another 50. He's got no boost, though. Can't do any more. NRG trying to get set up in the orange half. Garrett even picking up a demo onto J-Naps. There's nobody waiting for that ball. Squishy, first up for this one. Justin's there quickly. Shot on in for Justin. NRG, first goal.
And this is the difference maker. Look at Squishy, so fast to get up in the air, off the ceiling, setting up Justin. Drees is left in no man's land. Barely any boost to his name to make that save. It's too much of a challenge for him. He can't find it. NRG, they are on a tear, Jorby.
And Garrett's behind the ball, pushes it forward, sets up Squishy. Chicago gets there in time. Garrett still setting up quality opportunities. Here's Chicago, puts it underneath.
There it is.
And what a save from Squishy. Back over to the corner for him. It's Drees, but nobody's ready for it for G2. That means Garrett's get a free clear downfield. J-Naps kept it close, and Justin didn't want to commit on that play. He wasn't sure how it was going to come out. He only had 13 boosts to his name, and I think 0 actually right before the touch came. Yeah. G2 get another chance at it. Squishy gets kicked off, and Garrett gets a massive clear.
Oh, and that's a huge safety net from Garrett G. Communication spot on for NRG. Squishy wasn't going to get a touch. Garrett G bailed him out. Lovely play. And that's just proof that NRG are feeling confident. But there is a challenge. That's what I was waiting for from G2, to meet the counterattack with a challenge. That's what's needed. But again, unanswered here as Chicago's forced to get the touch.
Squishy was downfield waiting for it too. I think that came down a little fast, or a little longer than he had been expecting. Either way.
Chicago.
NRG kind of laid off the gas. I'm not going to say lay off the gas. It's probably the wrong way to put that. But they're going back to, let them get that quick clear. We'll rotate back. We'll get the solid boomer out. But here's Justin in front. He didn't have to make the save. Garrett pops it right over one. Back over to Justin. He pops it over two. Justin touch in front. Garrett couldn't get the bump on the Drees, and now he's got a turnaround back to J-Naps. Squishy couldn't cut him out. Garrett comes in to play it back to the corner. Justin, a full tank, lobs it back downfield.
G2, I mean, they're looking better and better each time they transition forward, winning challenges. Here's Drees now to beat out Squishy, but Squishy has been very decisive on defense, choosing most of the time, I'd say, not to go for the challenge, instead play the safer route. Hold the team down on defense, let Justin and Garrett G do what they do best, be aggressive, and then come in for the finish. There's Squishy Muffins.
Pixel perfect placement from Squishy. Garrett gets the pinch, makes it awkward for Drees, and that corner absolutely destroyed him. Forces the poor touch out of the last defender, and it was easy pickings for Squishy Muffins.
An unsung hero right now, I'd say, Jorby, is Squishy Muffins. It's incredible to see the patience that I have in this game alone from him. 50 seconds, though. That's a disaster for NRG's defense. Will this shift anything for the G2?
Oh, if you're Garrett, you're really not expecting that ball to come straight down onto your nose. But Drees was just a little off on the 50. Justin hits the ball into him. Great pass from Drees to Garrett.
Oh, it's good. If you're an NRG fan, though, you see smiles all over the faces of NRG, who Justin actually would have saved Garrett in the chat. So definitely a lighthearted style here from NRG. They're not taking it as serious as they could, and maybe that'll help them here in the last 35 seconds.
Just might Justin almost wrapped around the entire pitch himself. Garrett has the net, but it's taken away by Drees. Squishy forcing the ball around two G2 defenders. Now turned into attackers. Drees gets demoed. Uh-oh. Here comes J-Naps. Got the first, and the second, and the third, and the big ball. Oh, no. It's taken out. The net's open. J-Naps coming back. Pops it up above the crossbar. Shot from Garrett. Underneath. Taken away by Chicago. Last chance for G2.
Final seconds.
Chicago slips underneath. He slips another 50 through. He scored all day for G2. Can he set his team up for this?
Oh, that's it.
On zero. Taken away from Garrett. He picked up the save. It's not over just yet. Squishy puts it on the ground. One away from NRG forcing a third series.
Oh my, Garrett G. The save to keep NRG in the lead. There was even a demo. I'm not sure who it was on from G2, but it opened up the path. Garrett G, I didn't even see him pre-jump to get the save, and that was a dire moment out of NRG. Garrett G comes out clutch. He has been leading the charge everywhere, Jorby. Garrett
Captain
G,
Clutch.
he's literally the theme for this entire series.
If Chicago was the theme for G2 in Series 1, Garrett G is certainly the theme for NRG.
Oh, yeah.
In Series 2.
Even on his own net, he's scoring goals. The man can't stop.
The tactical timeout, giving G2 at least one more chance at it. They took it last time. They can't take it again.
Oh, man.
They might get swept. This is quite the response from NRG.
Jorby, I have a problem here. See,
yeah, what's your problem, Turtle?
This is so stressful. My scar is starting.
Put your glasses
my
off.
scar is starting to smear off.
Put it on.
Stressful, bro. They don't fit my head. They don't fit my head.
They look great, Turtle. They look great, man. I don't know what you're talking about. I can see perfectly through these shades. I don't see why they don't fit my head either. You see how long they are? You see how long these
You look beautiful. These they
so
don't,
do you.
They don't work.
So
it doesn't fit. But you know what does fit in rotation? Every single person on NRG. It's flawless, Jordan.
They certainly have looked that way in Series 2. G2 got something to say about it. JNaps gets the goal on the kickoff.
And this is the best start now for JNaps. Chicago on the demo. JNaps with the early shot. And maybe they're not going to slow things down like they usually do. And they're going to go for a much faster approach.
Just also keep in mind, G2 scored 3 times in a minute and NRG still won, so it may not matter how many times they score. They still have to worry about NRG. Here's Drees.
Go, Drees.
Good catch.
What you got?
On the feather, and it's taken away by Justin. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Ill advised touch from Chicago. JNaps couldn't wrap around on it. Could understand the idea. The risk, crisis averted, if you will.
G2 like to go for that clear route where they have a small little pass across their own net. It's risky, but it can create a really solid counterattack. However, NRG, sometimes they can catch on to it. Fortunately for G2, they didn't that time.
Another trap here for G2. This is a good opening minute for them. They've trapped the ball a couple times in midfield. They've got a couple of plays like this, and while the backboard has been fairly unavailable, you love the press. Drees punching that one against the corner. You might not get an infield pass every time you wrap around, but it's just that one touch you're waiting for that gives that gap. And you're talking about that gap, Turtle. G2 will shoot right through it as soon as they see it. That one was squishy. He found the gap. Tie game.
And we're going to see how this one develops from Garrett G in the corner. We've got Chicago looking for a clear out. He wanted to force a 50. But it's Garrett G on a challenge in series number 2. There is no possibility that you win it, Jorby. It's just not possible.
You talk about being the unsung hero, but I think some people are starting to sing for him. Squishy coming alive in the set.
One thing I did notice from G2 in the True Neutral game, Jorby, sorry, as we get into this one. Against True Neutral, I noticed G2 like to go for these drop-down passes. Right now, they're hammering the backboard, but against True Neutral, there were a couple of chances where they just smack a ball down, and Justin gets a crazy pre-jump save. So I'd like to see that more. Something creative. That's not just a routine, okay, off the backboard, let's see if we can follow up. It almost worked. It almost works for Drees, but not close enough.
What? I thought that one was going to be it for sure. But JNaps behind the ball. Drees with the down. Almost with the goal. Chicago there. And Garrett. He's impenetrable. He picks up another save. The lone man in net. And somehow he comes away with the save.
That should have been a goal. That 100% should have found the back of the net, regardless of the pre-jump, regardless of the save. G2 need that accuracy if they want to bring this series back.
Oh my goodness. Squishy puts in his second one. The roving band here in the orange half. They just won't leave. Garrett creating so much value. Chicago out of the play. You cannot stop Garrett God right now.
He's eating a sensu bean. He's going crazy. He has leveled up, about to go Super Saiyan. Garrett G, he is popping off in series number 2. He's not playing Mr. Nice Guy anymore here, Jorby.
Not at all. What a pinch from Chicago. But Garrett puts it right over to the side. JNaps setting up Chicago. That's hard off the backboard. And Drees takes a little bit of time. Squishy waits on the back wall, and he picks up the save. Another chance here in front. Justin misses it, and Chicago punishes him. G2 tie it up.
And a rare moment where we see Garrett G unable to find a challenge. Justin didn't even get a single touch on the ball. He expected it to hit the crossbar and go down. That's what his positioning was perfect for, but it didn't happen, forcing Garrett G in an awkward spot. Can't find any contact. G2, they've tied it up. We've been seeing a lot of the praise for NRG, but maybe things switch up.
Here's a carry from Justin. G2, they're ready to move downfield. They just want the 50 to do it. They need the green light. Chicago may give it to Drees here. Sets it underneath, taken away by Garrett G. He's been a stoplight all day. Oh, it's in.
And,
what a save from Chicago. Close.
We have not seen too much positional errors out of G2 in this game, which is definitely a big bonus and something to applaud if you're a G2 fan. Maybe they can build off of that. JKnapp's just forcing himself to go for a pinch. It doesn't go his way. Garrett G takes out a player, and there's space for Squishy to do some work.
Oh, JKnapp squeezes through 2 NRG cars. But Squishy don't even have to leave the corner to get that ball out to midfield. Oh, you see Garrett try to crash that ball. Justin lost his 50. This could be a chance for G2 up high. Drees off the steal. Misses the touch. Garrett's left frozen, and Squishy can back him up and win another 50. Justin's got the boost. He has the shot. Oh, Justin takes NRG in the lead.
And it's picture-perfect placement, all from the 50-50s from Squishy Muffins on defense. Off the sidewall, you hit the left side of the net if you're Justin, and you've got an easy 3-2 performance here from NRG.
Are we looking at a Series 2 sweep from NRG? A minute left.
I think so.
G2 gonna try to push, but again, they haven't had any success on that back wall. Here's a pass. That might work. Oh, Drees popped it up. It's a little too high for JKnapp's. NRG can get reset. Chicago wins the touch. JKnapp's, the boost spawns right after he leaves. Chicago picked that one up. Drees leaves it for Chicago. Denied by Garrett G. Not the worst strategy to give the ball and feed it to Chicago. He has been lights out in striking today, but Justin just will not let the ball go in the back of the net. Garrett puts it over and taken away by Drees.
That was such a fast shot put on from Garrett G in the midfield. Squishy, he's up early for that challenge. He's been dominant all game long. Garrett G is so quick to get that shot towards the back of the net. G2 Esports, it looks like they have a slight chance, but then you've got Garrett G to smack him back down.
Beautiful shot from Garrett. Drees couldn't get to the ball. G2 out of sorts on the defensive line. It's too early to call Series 2. G2 still got a chance. They just have to score with time left. Chicago pops this high.
Oh, man.
JKnapp doesn't get a solid touch. Chicago gets another 50 in front for Drees, taken away by none other than Garrett G. Squishy puts this one out. Drees is there, and JKnapp is in front, but they were already up for it, and Justin got the clear. Chicago another chance, but guess who's there? Garrett G puts another one down.
And a double.
Time's running out. It's not enough time on the clock. Drees can't get it done. G2 swept in Series 2. We're heading to a decider series.
NRG have such a thick line of defense. You get through one player on a 50-50, but then you're met with Garrett G or Justin with a pre-jump. If you get through that player, then there's another one left on defense to have a goal line save, or at least an attempt to save your shot. A ridiculous performance, and a dominant one at that, from NRG in Series number 2.
Completely different NRG from Series 1. They were much more confident on the attack. And we were talking about it. Yeah, we're going to gush about it more, Turtle. Garrett G, the conductor of Series 2.
Oh, yeah.
I can't count how many times he set NRG up. Even if they didn't score, he was still setting them up for success. And Squishy and Justin played lights out. Nothing but quality touches from them. They really had G2 wrapped around their finger.
It does feel like Squishy Muffins has been the glue, though. While we talk about the brute force from Garrett G, Squishy Muffins on the 50-50s and just being in position to support Justin and Garrett G, it's been flawless from him. It's not super flashy, again, but this is the new Squishy Muffins, I would say. The Squishy Muffins that is most comfortable on NRG, where he's filling in the gaps, playing that role perfectly as the support, and he's been doing a stellar job because he's winning 50-50s, bouncing it off the sidewall a lot of times, I'll see, and then it goes back in the midfield for somebody like Garrett G or Justin to punish and capitalize. And can we talk about the decision-making, too, from Squishy Muffins? That man, as last back, he isn't even nervous at all to make a decision, and he doesn't hesitate.
The grand finals are getting spooky. Series 3 coming up to decide the winner of the Haunted Hallows Cup. Find out who after the break.